Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. So we have a brand new article from the Games Workshop community team. It's called A War for the Heart and Mind, and it's all about the next Psychic Awakening book, which is called The Greater Good. Now, the biggest shock about this is that it's confirmed now that Death Guard will not be in this book. Even though they were teased in the short stories, they're not going to be in it. Even though they had a battle with the 4th and 5th expansions of the Tau at the Starside Nexus, they are not in this book. It's a big head scratcher for me. This would have been a perfect setup for the Death Guard to go against the Tau and actually see Death Guard versus Tau and the whole chaos versus, the enlightenment of the workings of the Tau. I thought that would have been a great setup, but apparently not. That is not happening. So let's jump in. Let's go through this article. Let's see who the Tau are fighting and what is about to go down. So the article starts and confirms the next 3 factions in the Psychic Awakening book. It says the Psychic Awakening series has taken you to war zones across the galaxy, and the next book shifts the focus once again, this time to the Eastern Fringe. Here, the bold soldiers of the Astra Militarum, aka the Imperial Guard, face a pair of hideous Xenos threats, one that comes from without and another that lurks from within. So there we have the confirmation now that the 3 factions in this book are going to be the Astra Militarum, as I said, aka the Imperial Guard, Genestealer Cultists, and the Tau. I think it's pretty weird that they've actually put the Astra Militarum in this book, because there was a lot of hype about the Astra Militarum coming further down the road. Remember the rumor image where we had like that hand holding a pair of binoculars? People were saying it could be like something to do with orcs. My mindset that it was Catajans. Maybe that is still a part of the Catajans, but it just won't be linked to the Psychic Awakening. But in my mindset, I thought when we actually got the Imperial Guard, or aka the Astra Militarum, whatever you want to call them, that it would focus on the Catajans, and maybe we'll get like a new Catajan unit being released with them. At the moment, this could potentially still happen. We could potentially still get some Catajan units coming with this Psychic Awakening book, but the way that it's being marketed, we've only really saw Shadow Sun. Like, that's been the big main feature of this, whereas, for example, we've seen some of the next stuff in the Engine War, which has multiple releases when it comes to the AdMech, and I personally think if they were planning to put the Catajans, or if that image was related to the Catajans in any type of way, that we would have seen more marketing around that, and we probably would have been spoiled by it at the LVO event, which shown off all the upcoming new stuff. So I'm just going to put that on the back burner now and say the Catajan stuff is not related to the Psychic Awakening. Fingers crossed that it is still connected to the Imperial Guard in some type of way, and hopefully it'll come after these Psychic Awakening books are all finished. Anyway, let's carry on with the actual article itself, because we got some more information here. It says, what's it about? It goes to say, the Greater Good is set in the Kalnath Expanse, hopefully that's pronounced right, where loyal Imperial worlds are torn between their faith in the Emperor and 2 other competing creeds. On many worlds across the region, Genestealer cults rise up, and plans generations in the making come to fruition as servants of the Star Children seek to throw off the yoke of their imperial oppressors. So it looks like it's going to be like a massive big battlefield where you have the Tau coming in for their stuff. The Greater Good join us. You get like all these cool things. You have the Genestealer cults coming from within saying, hey, look at all the arms we've got. How cool is this and stuff? Serve these guys. And you have like, the people who are sworn to the Imperium. No, we stand fast for the Imperium. So it's just a three-way scuffle, really. It actually doesn't mention anything about Tau actually fighting the Genestealer cults. Let me just go down. It says, for those who resist the patriarchs of their mutant followers, there is another equally insidious law, the Greater Good. Oh no, this is just about the Tau. The Tau Empire seeks to expand its influence across the Kalnath Expanse, bringing its philosophy of mutual cooperation for benefit of all primitive Gul'ar who misguidingly follow the Emperor. How dare they? This is why I hate the Tau so much. The Imperium, for its part, simply wants its citizens to remain loyal and will do anything to achieve this goal. So like I said, yeah, it's just going to be the three-way thing. It doesn't actually mention anything in that passage of text of potential Tau versus Genestealer Cultists. I'm sure that's going to be something actually in the book, and that's something that they will be explored. It'd be an absolute waste if we didn't have Genestealers fighting Tau. I was actually really hoping that we could actually see Genestealers take over like a Tau world, like they work from within, like Tau Genestealer Cultists kind of thing, rise up and take over in, you know, the cultist name and stuff like that. I think that would have been a cracking story. But again, hopefully, fingers crossed, that still may be in here. And the last couple of blurb text, who's in it? It says the greater good focuses on the Imperium, in particular the Astra Militarum, battling both the invading Tau Empire and the rising tide of Genestealer cults. Of course, that's already been confirmed. Commander Shadowsun leads the 5th Thir expansion of the Tau forces in strategically vital Kalnoth expanse, bringing Her Majesty of the unknown way of war, the art of the patient hunter, to these embattled worlds. So, like I said before, there's no mention of Katajans or anything like that. There's again, hopefully, fingers crossed, they have something that connects them in there, and we could get like an Imperial unit and Shadowsun, and they could spring it on us. But the way it's looking, it's just got to be Shadowsun at this moment in time. There's no mention of any new Genestealer cults or anything like that. So I'm just going to bank all my money on that. It's just going to be the Shadowsun model that's going to be releasing with this next book, and that's that. In the last paragraph, it says, what happens, ? And they say, that would be telling, of course. Let's say that the greater good shows a war being waged in a few different ways, as well as open battle. Both Tau and Genestealer cults use their tactics to try and claim Imperial worlds for their own. In the book, you'll see a planet tempted by the promises of the greater good, peace and prosperity within an empire that values every life. Certainly sound appealing. No, it doesn't. Purge it. Meanwhile, another world will see an insidious pauper prince's cult rise up to overthrow their imperial warlords, only to find out they face the Tau Empire as well. Oh, okay, so yes, that does confirm it then. That does confirm we'll get some Genestealer versus Tau Empire, but I don't think it means that you see Genestealer Cultists work its way through the Tau Empire. It means like they're going to battle the Tau Empire. What I want to see a Genestealer cult set up in the Tau Empire, and it works against the Tau as the Tau are doing their greater good actions. That's what I really, really want. The last bit says, across 3 war zones in the book, you'll find many different kinds of conflicts, each of them telling thrilling stories of war being waged on and off the battlefield. You'll be able to pre-order your copy of Psychic Awakening, The Greater Good soon, and until then, check out previous installments of the series. It's just basically just check out the previous stories that we've already had. So there we go. That is confirmation now of the next 3 factions coming in The Greater Good, the Psychic Awakening book, which is the Astra Militarum, the Tau Empire, and the Genestealer cults. That is a 3-way battle. But I'm massively surprised that the Death Guard are not going to be in this book. So that means now that we are left with a few factions when the closing of the Psychic Awakening. We have Necrons, we have Harlequins, we have, of course, now Death Guard, we have Custodes, we have Death Watch, we have Orcs, and we have Space Wolves. The Admech and the Knights and all that kind of stuff are going to be in the next Engine War book. That was already confirmed, what's going to be in that book. So it's really interesting now on who the Death Guard are going to be paired against. Of course, I don't think it'll be Death Watch, because surely Death Watch are going to pair that against a Xenos foe, because Xenos, Death Watch go together. That's what the Death Watch do. They purge Xenos. Space Wolves and Orcs, that has to be Saga of the Beast, because the Beast is referring to an Orc, and Saga is something that Space Wolves talk about. So I'm definitely all in with Space Wolves and Orcs being in that one. Maybe they could include the Death Watch in that, because it is, it's Death Watch and Space Wolves team up. But I'd much rather have something like Custodes, Necrons, and Death Watch squaring off, like the Custodes go in, or the Custodes go in supporting the Death Watch, who take on the Necrons or something like that. But then where does that lead the Death Guard? Death Guard and Harlequins are more or less left over then. So yeah, it really is now a big head scratcher on which factions are going to be fighting who, and who's going to be taking it on. I was like bang on the head, like the Death Guard were going to be in this book, but that's thrown a huge spanner in the works now on whose Mortarian's boys are going to be fighting. I only see like 2 or 3 books, 3 books max left in this Psychic Awakening, because I think at Adepticon they're going to be announcing something big. I personally think they may be announcing the next bit of the whole narrative story, or the next bit of chunk, or let's say the next big surprise, that's got to be 40k. I'm sure the 9th edition talk is surrounding that. Maybe that's where they'll announce that, and they'll press the lore a bit forward. I know we've talked about in the past, like 40k is more of a setting and stuff, and some of the actual story people have said, 40k is a setting, that's why the Psychic Awakening, they're doing this, and it's keeping it all in check. But I find that really, really odd, since we've already gone past the Psychic Awakening, because Guy Haley's doing book after book that is set after this. Dark Imperium, Plague Wars, Belisarius Call, that was a fantastic book. That is all set after the Psychic Awakening, so it really makes no sense that this is a setting when Guy Haley himself is pushing it forward, introducing new characters, introducing new lore to the worlds, like Sofa, basically being terraformed to bring it back to life and all that kind of stuff. So I personally think they will, in little ways, keep pushing the narrative of 40k forward. Not massively, as we're seeing with AOS or anything like that, but little bits of jumping forward to give us more context, more stories, more action, to write like series of books like the Psychic Awakening and stuff like that. All right, Chaperoonios, that is me done for another video. Thank you for coming. Thank you for watching. As always, what do you think about the greater good now? These 3 confirmed factions, Astra Militarum, the Tau, and of course Genestealer Cultists. What do you think about Death Guard not being in this book? Like I said, I was 99.9% sure that Death Guard was going to be in this book, and now I literally have no idea who they're going to face. Who could they face? Who's a good matchup now for Death Guard with the rest of the forces that is left in the Psychic Awakening? Because I don't think they'll ever do like Chaos versus Xenos without the Imperium being involved. The Imperium's more or less been involved in every single book so far. So for the Death Guard to be fighting, the Imperium's going to be involved and wherever they're fighting. So I don't know, maybe Custodes could kind of work. It definitely can't be Death Watch. I don't know. Post it down below in the comment section. We can have a nice little talk down there, as we always do. Thank you for coming. Thank you for watching. See you now, and bye-bye.